The battlefield was silent now. The smoke of burning ships drifted in the air, and the ground was covered with broken weapons and shattered armor. Among the ruins, a young alien princess lay still. Her once bright skin had lost its glow, and her breaths came slow and weak. Her people had fought bravely, but they could not protect her forever. Now she was alone, fading away under the broken sky. The princess's eyes were heavy. She could barely keep them open. Every sound around her was fading, and even the pain in her chest felt distant. She thought about her father, the king who had sent her into war. She thought about her mother, who once told her that she carried the light of their people. That light was now dim, almost gone. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Help me." But no one answered. Far across the battlefield, a human warrior was moving slowly. His armor was scratched, his sword chipped, and his body tired. He had lost many of his own people too. He did not expect to find anyone alive. Yet, as he stepped through the ruins, he heard a faint sound. It was soft, almost like a cry. He followed it and soon saw her. The alien princess lying on the ground, her body shaking as if death was close. He stopped. His training told him she was the enemy. His heart told him she was only a dying girl. Her eyes met his, and in that moment he saw fear, but also hope. She was not ready to let go. She was not ready to die. The human knelt down beside her. He could feel how cold her skin was. Her pulse was weak. "Why am I doing this?" he whispered to himself. He had no answer. He only knew that he could not walk away. Not now. The princess tried to speak again. Her words were broken, her voice almost gone. "Please," she said. Her eyes closed, and her body went limp. The human's chest tightened. He knew she would not survive long. He looked around. There was no medicine, no healer, no help at all. But he remembered something, a story from his people. Humans had strange blood. It was strong. It carried a life force that some believed could heal. It was only a myth, but it was all he had. He pulled out his knife and cut his hand. The pain was sharp, but he did not stop. He pressed his bleeding hand against the wound on her arm. His blood mixed with hers. At first, nothing happened. The princess's face was pale, her breath shallow. The human's heart sank. Perhaps it was just a foolish dream. Then, slowly, her body trembled. Her eyes moved beneath her closed lids. A faint glow returned to her skin. The human's eyes widened. His blood was doing something impossible. Her weak breath grew stronger. She opened her eyes, just a little, and looked at him for a moment. The dying princess was alive again, but the human could feel his strength leaving him. The connection between them was strange. His blood was not just healing her, which is draining him. Still, he did not pull away. He pressed harder, refusing to let her go. The princess's hand twitched, and her fingers curled around his wrist. Her touch was weak, but it was enough to tell him that she was fighting. She wanted to live. The warrior's mind raced. What had he done? What would this mean? He had saved an enemy. He had given her his life force. And now, something bound them together. He did not know if it was a blessing or a curse. But as the stars shone faintly through the smoke above, he knew one thing. This was only the beginning. The princess blinked. Her lips moved, whispering words he could not understand, but her eyes told him everything. She was alive because of him. The human sat back, his hands still bleeding, his body weak. His heart pounded as he realized the truth no one in the galaxy would believe. This, a human's blood, had saved an alien princess, and the story was far from over. The alien princess lay still, her body trembling as life slowly returned. Her eyes opened halfway, glowing faintly with strange energy. She looked at the human kneeling beside her, confusion and disbelief mixing in her gaze. She could feel something burning inside her veins. Something foreign yet powerful. It was not alien medicine. Not royal healing. It was human blood. The human warrior breathed heavily, his hand still bleeding. He felt weaker with every passing moment, as if his strength was being pulled away from him. He had fought battles, faced death many times. But never had he felt like this. His life was slipping into her. His sacrifice was giving her another chance. He stared at the wound on his hand, watching his blood drip into hers. The princess tried to speak. Her lips moved slowly, her voice thin like a whisper. "Why?" she asked. Her eyes glistened with pain and confusion. Why would an enemy soldier save her? Why would he give his own life for hers? The human did not answer right away. His thoughts were heavy. He knew if his commanders found out, he would be called a traitor. He knew if her people discovered this, they would call her cursed. Yet as he looked into her fading eyes, he knew there was no choice. He had already chosen. "Because you are alive," he finally said, "and I cannot watch you die." The princess's chest rose with a stronger breath. Her skin slowly regained its color. But the warrior noticed the glow in her eyes was not natural. 'Twas brighter, sharper, like something had awakened inside her. He frowned. Was this healing, or was it something else? As the night deepened, the human felt exhaustion pressing down on him. He pulled his hand back, wrapping it quickly. The wound was deep, but he ignored it. His eyes stayed on her. She was no longer on the edge of death, but she was still fragile. She sat up weakly, clutching her chest. Her voice broke as she said, "You saved me." The words echoed between them, a human and an alien, enemies by birth, yet bound now by blood. The warrior looked away. His mind was storming. He had broken rules, broken the law of war. But when he turned back to her, he saw not an enemy. Princess, he saw someone who had clung to life, someone who had held his wrist with the last of her strength. The princess tilted her head, trying to understand him. "Why would a human save an alien princess?" she whispered. Her people had always told her that humans were cruel, selfish, and dangerous. Yet here he was, proving them wrong with his own blood. He sighed. "Maybe because I am not like the others," he said. His voice was steady. "Or maybe because fate wanted it this way." A silence grew between them. But it was not empty. It was heavy with meaning, heavy with questions. The princess touched her chest. Feeling the strange warmth of his blood inside her, it frightened her, but it also gave her strength. She looked at him with eyes that no longer saw him as just a soldier. She saw him as the reason she was alive. Suddenly, a sharp noise broke. The silence. The warrior looked around. His heart tightened. Soldiers were nearby. Their voices echoed through the ruins, searching if they found him with her. Both their lives would end. He turned to the princess. His voice urgent. "We must move." She shook her head weakly. "I cannot walk far," she said. Her legs trembled, her body still weak. The human clenched his fists. He was tired, bleeding, but he could not leave her. He made his choice once more. He lifted her gently into his arms. She gasped softly, but did not resist. Her head rested against his shoulder, and she whispered, "You risk everything." He nodded, his eyes sharp. "I already did, step by step." He carried her through the ruins, hiding from shadows. His body ached, but he pressed on. He knew if they were caught, it would not just be his blood at risk, it would be hers too. The bond between them had begun, a bond neither of them fully understood. The princess closed her eyes, feeling his warmth for the first time. She wondered if her people were wrong about humans. For the first time, she felt safe in the arms of an enemy. As the night faded and the first light touched the battlefield, the human whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning." He knew his choice had changed everything. Not just for her, not just for him, but perhaps for the galaxy itself. The first rays of morning light touched the battlefield. Smoke still curled upward from broken machines. The human warrior stopped to rest under the shadow of a fallen tower. His arms were shaking from the weight of carrying the alien princess. But he refused to let her fall. He placed her gently against a wall, watching her chest rise and fall with steady breaths. She was alive, truly alive, and yet he could not believe it. The princess slowly opened her eyes. Her body no longer felt like a cage of pain. There was strength inside her veins, a warmth that pulsed with every heartbeat. She looked at her hands. They glowed faintly, almost as if they carried fire within. Her people had no such power. She knew it came from him. From his blood, her voice was soft, fragile, yet filled with wonder. "I should be dead," she whispered. "But I feel alive, stronger than before." The human watched her carefully. His own face pale from blood loss. His hand was wrapped in cloth, still bleeding through, yet even in his weakness. He gave her a small nod. "It worked," he said. "You live." She studied him, her sharp alien eyes catching the truth. He looked exhausted, broken, and yet there was pride in his gaze. Pride that he had saved her. Her heart twisted with something new. She had been raised to see humans as dangerous, but in this man she saw something else, something her people never told her about. The air around them shifted. The ground beneath her hand vibrated slightly. She gasped, realizing the impossible. The plants pushing through the cracks of stone near her feet were growing. Small flowers bloomed where her touch landed. The human froze, staring in disbelief. "What is this?" she whispered, pulling her hand back, but the flowers remained bright and alive. The power in her veins was not only healing her, was changing the world around her. The human stepped closer, lowering his voice. "It is my blood," he said. "But it should not do this." His people had long whispered that human blood was strong, but never had he seen it cause life to bloom. The princess trembled, not from weakness, but from fear. "If my people see this, they will call me cursed," she said. Her voice cracked. "They will think I am no longer one of them." The human looked at her with steady eyes. "Or they will see you as a miracle," he said. She turned away, her mind racing. A miracle or a curse? She did not know which one her people would choose to believe. But one thing was certain, she was no longer the same, and it was because of him. Suddenly, voices echoed in the distance. Soldiers, both human and alien, were searching the ruins. The warrior's instincts sharpened. He crouched low, signaling. For her to stay quiet, she obeyed, pressing a hand over her mouth, but her heart pounded. Her new strength was untested, and if they were found, it might reveal the truth too soon. The human moved silently, scouting the path ahead. When he returned, his eyes were cold. "They are too close," he said. "We must leave." The princess struggled to stand, but to her surprise, her legs held her weight. She wobbled, then steadied herself, the power flowing through her veins. "Gave her balance. I can walk," she said firmly. Her voice carried strength she did not feel before. Together they moved through the ruins. Staying in shadows, the human guarded every step. His blade ready, she followed, her senses sharper than ever. She could hear the soldiers' movements more clearly, smell the smoke more sharply. It frightened her, yet thrilled her, as they slipped into a hidden passage. The princess paused. Her gaze fell on the human. His shoulders carried the weight of exhaustion. Yet he never slowed. She whispered softly, "You gave me life. But what will it cost you?" The warrior glanced at her. His jaw tightened. "That is not your burden." He said, "Your life is worth it." Her heart stirred. She had been told all her life that humans were selfish, cruel, untrustworthy. But here was one who risked everything. Not for glory, not for power, but simply so she would live. It was unbelievable, impossible. Yet it was real. They reached the edge of the ruins. Beyond was a stretch of forest, untouched by war. The air was fresh, the light golden. The princess took a deep breath. And for the first time since the battle began, she felt hope. She touched her chest, feeling the rhythm of her heart, stronger than before. Her eyes shone as she looked at the human and whispered, "Perhaps fate brought you to me." He shook his head lightly, though a small smile tugged at his lips. "Fate or not," he said, "we are bound now." The words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning. Neither of them could deny it anymore. The bond was there, unbreakable, born from blood and sacrifice. As they disappeared into the forest, both knew their lives were forever changed, and what had just begun was far greater than either of them could understand. The forest was quiet. Its trees stretched tall, their leaves glowing faintly under the morning light. Birds sang softly, but their songs felt distant compared to the thoughts heavy in the human warrior's mind. He walked ahead, his sword still in hand, though his steps were slower now. The bleeding from his palm had stopped, but weakness still dragged at his body. Behind him, the alien princess followed. Her movements were careful at first, but soon she realized her strength was far greater than before. Every step felt powerful. Every breath came easy. She touched the bark of a tree as she passed, and where her fingers brushed, the wood glimmered faintly. Her eyes widened in shock. She pulled her hand back quickly. Afraid of what she had seen, the warrior noticed her pause. He turned, his eyes sharp. "What is it?" he asked. The princess shook her head, but her face gave her away. She was hiding something. He stepped closer, and she whispered, "Your blood. It is not only inside me, it is changing me." His chest tightened. He had suspected it already, but hearing her say it made the truth heavy. "What do you mean?" he asked carefully. She raised her hand, showing him the faint glow that pulsed. "In her skin, I touched the tree," she said softly, and it responded. It came alive. The human's eyes darkened. He had heard whispers of old myths, tales from his ancestors about the life force hidden inside human blood. Some said it could heal. Some said it could awaken. He had never believed them, but now, seeing her, he wondered if the legends were true. The princess lowered her hand quickly, fear flashing in her eyes. "If my people discover this," she whispered, "they will call me cursed. They will think I am no longer one of them." The warrior studied her silently. His jaw tightened as he spoke. "Or they may see you as chosen, as something greater than they imagined." Her gaze fell, her heart conflicted. She had grown up hearing stories of human cruelty, and now she was alive only because of one. Worse, her blood was no longer her own. It carried his strength, his life, his essence. What did that make her now, princess of her people, or something in between? As the day passed, they found a small stream. The warrior knelt to drink, but his reflection in the water startled him. His face looked pale, his eyes hollow. His sacrifice had taken more from him than he thought. The princess knelt beside him, her voice soft. "You are weaker because of me." He shook his head. "No. I am weaker because I gave too much, but I would do it again." His words were firm, but his hands trembled as he washed the blood away. The princess watched him with new eyes. She felt guilt, yet also a strange pull toward him. It was as if her heartbeat was linked to his. When he hurt, she felt it. When he grew weak, her body grew restless. She whispered under her breath, "We are connected." Before the warrior could reply, the distant sound of engines broke the silence. Both of them froze. The noise grew louder. Ships flying low, soldiers were searching the forest. The human grabbed her arm gently but firmly. "We must move. They are looking for you, maybe for both of us." The princess hesitated, her chest heavy. "If they capture me, they will discover what I carry," she said. "They will know about your blood." And then they will hunt you too." He nodded grimly. "That is why we cannot let them." Together they pushed deeper into the forest. But the sound of the ships followed. The warrior's mind raced. He had made a choice to save her. But now the secret of his blood could throw the entire galaxy into chaos. If others discovered its power, they would not stop until they drained every human dry. That night, as they hid in a cave lit only by the faint glow of her skin, the princess broke the silence. Her voice was low, trembling. "Why is your blood?" Like this, the humans stared into the shadows. His voice rough, "I do not know. My people never truly knew. Some said it was evolution. Some said it was a gift. Some whispered it was a curse. But never. Never has anyone seen this." He looked at her glowing hands. His eyes hard. "You are the first." Her heart raced. The first. The thought both terrified and humbled her. She looked at him, her savior, and realized that his blood had not only revived her body, it had tied their fates together, and if the galaxy discovered the truth, neither of them would ever be free again. The warrior leaned back against the stone wall. His voice weary but steady. "This is our secret now." He said, "If others find out, they will come for you, and they will come for me." The princess nodded slowly. She knew he was right. Her survival was a miracle, but miracles often came. With a price, she closed her eyes, whispering, "Then I will keep this secret, even from my own people." For a moment, silence returned, only the sound of the wind outside the cave. But in their hearts, both knew the truth. This secret could not stay hidden forever, and when it came out, it would change not just their lives, but the future of both their worlds. The forest no longer felt safe. The hum of patrol ships passed overhead again and again. Their lights cut through the trees like knives, searching for prey. The human warrior kept his hand on the hilt of his sword. His eyes sharp. His body was weak, but his will refused to break. The alien princess walked close behind him, her cloak drawn over her face. Her heart beat fast. For every sound in the shadows felt like danger waiting to strike. They moved carefully until they reached the edge of the forest. Beyond lay a valley. But it was no safe haven. It was crawling with soldiers from both sides. Human troops searched for survivors. Alien guards hunted for their missing princess, if either side discovered them together. There would be no mercy. The princess touched his arm, whispering, "We cannot pass. They will see us." The humans studied the valley. His mind turned quickly. He knew the only way through was not with strength, but with silence. "We wait for nightfall," he said, "then we move." As the hours passed, the princess sat near him, watching the soldiers from a distance. She felt a strange ache in her chest whenever she looked at the human. His face was pale, his breath shallow. Yet he never complained, never rested. He stayed alert only for her. She wanted to thank him. But the words felt too small. How could words ever carry the weight of life itself? When night came, they began their descent. Every step was careful. Every sound in the valley seemed louder than it should. The warrior led, guiding her through the shadows. At times, they hid beneath broken tanks. At times, they pressed against the cold rock as soldiers passed by. The princess held her breath each time, her heart pounding so loud she thought it would give them away. At one point, they froze. A group of alien guards stood only a few steps away. One of them spoke angrily. The princess must be found. The council demands her body, dead or alive. Her blood ran cold. She looked at the human, fear shining in her eyes. His hand tightened on his blade, ready to fight. But before he moved, the guards turned and walked away, their voices fading. Into the night, the princess let out a shaking breath. "They want me dead," she whispered. Her heart ached. Not even her people wanted her return. At least not alive. The human looked at her, his voice steady but low. That is why we cannot be caught. Not by them, not by anyone. They continued through the night, but danger was never far. Once, they nearly walked into a human patrol. The soldiers' armor reflected faint moonlight. Their boots crushed the dirt as they marched. The warrior grabbed the princess's hand and pulled her into the shadows. Pressing against the stone wall, she gasped quietly, his hand warm against hers. The soldiers passed, unaware of how close they had been. The human released her hand slowly, but the touch lingered in her mind. It was strange. Her blood carried his strength, yet his presence carried something else, something she did not understand, but could not ignore. By dawn, they reached an abandoned outpost, its walls broken, its gates twisted. Inside, silence ruled. The warrior checked carefully, then guided her in for the first time in days. They found a place to breathe. The princess sat by a shattered console, her eyes staring at the dust-covered screens. This place was once full of voices, she said softly. Now it is nothing. The human lowered himself onto a broken chair, his body heavy with exhaustion. War does that, he said. It leaves nothing but silence. For a while, they sat in the ruin, neither speaking. Their silence was not empty, though. It carried questions unasked and feelings unspoken. Finally, the princess broke it. We cannot run forever, she whispered. Soon, they will find us. The human lifted his head, his eyes meeting hers. Then, we do not run, he said firmly. We survive, but we survive together. Her chest tightened at his words. Together, the thought warmed her, even as fear gripped her heart. She knew what it meant if they stayed together. They would not only fight soldiers, they would fight two empires. That night, as the wind whistled through the broken walls, the princess lay awake, her body stronger than ever, her blood humming with strange energy. She thought about her people, about the throne waiting for her, about the price of survival, but her mind always returned to him, the human who gave his blood, the human who carried her when she could not walk, the human who now risked everything. The bond between them was growing. She could not deny it anymore. It was not only blood, it was something deeper, something neither of them had expected. And as she finally closed her eyes, one thought burned in her heart: the galaxy would never understand what was happening between them, and perhaps neither did she. The forest no longer felt safe. The hum of patrol ships passed overhead again and again. Their lights cut through the trees like knives searching for prey. The human warrior kept his hand on the hilt of his sword, his eyes sharp. His body was weak, but his will refused to break. The alien princess walked close behind him, her cloak drawn over her face. Her heart beat fast, for every sound in the shadows felt like danger waiting to strike. They moved carefully until they reached the edge of the forest. Beyond lay a valley, but it was no safe haven. It was crawling with soldiers from both sides. Human troops searched for survivors. Alien guards hunted for their missing princess. If either side discovered them together, there would be no mercy. The princess touched his arm, whispering, "We cannot pass. They will see us." The human studied the valley. His mind turned quickly. He knew the only way through was not with strength, but with silence. "We wait for nightfall," he said, "then we move." As the hours passed, the princess sat near him, watching the soldiers from a distance. She felt a strange ache in her chest whenever she looked at the human. His face was pale, his breath shallow. Yet he never complained, never rested. He stayed alert only for her. She wanted to thank him, but the words felt too small. How could words ever carry the weight of life itself? When night came, they began their descent. Every step was careful. Every sound in the valley seemed louder than it should. The warrior led, guiding her through the shadows. At times, they hid beneath broken tanks. At times, they pressed against the cold rock as soldiers passed by. The princess held her breath each time, her heart pounding so loud she thought it would give them away. At one point, they froze. A group of alien guards stood only a few steps away. One of them spoke angrily. The princess must be found. The council demands her body, dead or alive. Her blood ran cold. She looked at the human, fear shining in her eyes. His hand tightened on his blade, ready to fight. But before he moved, the guards turned and walked away, their voices fading. Into the night, the princess let out a shaking breath. "They want me dead," she whispered. Her heart ached. Not even her people wanted her return. "At least not alive." The human looked at her, his voice steady but low. "That is why we cannot be caught. Not by them, not by anyone." They continued through the night, but danger was never far. Once, they nearly walked into a human patrol. The soldiers' armor reflected faint moonlight. Their boots crushed the dirt as they marched. The warrior grabbed the princess's hand and pulled her into the shadows. Pressing against the stone wall, she gasped quietly, his hand warm against hers. The soldiers passed, unaware of how close they had been. The human released her hand slowly, but the touch lingered in her mind. It was strange. Her blood carried his strength, yet his presence carried something else, something she did not understand, but could not ignore. By dawn, they reached an abandoned outpost, its walls broken, its gates twisted. Inside, silence ruled. The warrior checked carefully, then guided her in for the first time in days. They found a place to breathe. The princess sat by a shattered console, her eyes staring at the dust-covered screens. This place was once full of voices, she said softly. Now it is nothing. The human lowered himself onto a broken chair, his body heavy with exhaustion. "War does that," he said. "It leaves nothing but silence." For a while, they sat in the ruin, neither speaking. Their silence was not empty, though. It carried questions unasked and feelings unspoken. Finally, the princess broke it. "We cannot run forever," she whispered. "Soon, they will find us." The human lifted his head, his eyes meeting hers. "Then we do not run," he said firmly. "We survive, but we survive together." Her chest tightened at his words. Together, the thought warmed her. Even as fear gripped her heart, she knew what it meant. If they stayed together, they would not only fight soldiers, they would fight to empires. That night, as the wind whistled through the broken walls, the princess lay awake, her body stronger than ever, her blood humming with strange energy. She thought about her people, about the throne waiting for her, about the price of survival, but her mind always returned to him, the human who gave his blood, the human who carried her when she could not walk, the human who now risked everything. The bond between them was growing. She could not deny it anymore. It was not only blood, it was something deeper, something neither of them had expected. And, as she finally closed her eyes, one thought burned in her heart: the galaxy would never understand what was happening between them. And perhaps neither did she. The capital city burned with unrest. Crowds filled the streets. Some shouted the princess's name as hope. Others cursed it as betrayal. Soldiers struggled to hold the lines. The council was divided. Their empire stood on the edge of civil war. And the cause was not an enemy army. It was one girl, alive when she should have been dead. Far from the noise, deep in the ruined valley, the alien princess sat beside the human warrior. His body was weak, his skin pale, his breathing heavy. The blood he had given her had saved her, but it had taken much from him. She placed her hand gently over his, her voice trembling. "You gave me life, but it is killing you." The human forced a tired smile. "If it means you live, then it is worth it." Her eyes burned with tears. She shook her head. "No, I will not let you die for me. Not when you gave me more than my own people did." she closed her eyes. Feeling this strange energy inside her veins, his blood pulsed within her, strong and alive. She realized then his life was not gone. It was inside her, bound to her. When she opened her eyes again, they glowed brighter than ever. The warrior stared in shock as the air around her shifted. The cave walls hummed with faint light. Her voice grew steady. "If your blood can give me life, then maybe mine can return it to you." She pressed her glowing hand against his chest. At first, nothing happened. Then his breath steadied, his color returned faintly, his eyes widened as strength flowed back into him. The bond between them was no longer one way. It was shared, a circle of life and power. The princess gasped softly. Realizing the truth, "We are linked now. Your life and mine are one." The human sat up slowly. Feeling the warmth inside him, his eyes searched hers. This changes everything. But there was no time to reflect. Outside, the sound of ships shook the air. Both human and alien armies had arrived. Soldiers surrounded the valley. Their leaders demanded the princess be brought out, some to crown her, some to kill her, and they demanded the human be executed, his blood now seen as a weapon. The princess rose to her feet, her cloak falling back. Her glow lit the shadows around her. She walked to the edge of the ruins with the human at her side. Together, they stepped into the light. The armies gasped at the sight. The princess alive, stronger than ever, and a human standing beside her like an equal. One commander shouted, "She carries human corruption. She must die." Another cried, "She is chosen. She is proof of destiny." Soldiers raised their weapons. Chaos ready to explode. The princess lifted her hand, and the glow from her veins spread into the air. The ground shook, trees blossomed. Broken earth healed. For a moment, silence fell. Her voice carried strong and clear. "You call me cursed, you call me chosen, but I am both. I am alive because of him, and that truth will not be hidden." Her eyes swept across both armies. This is not corruption. This is not weakness. It is life. His blood and mine bound together, a bond no war can break. The human stood beside her, sword in hand. Though his strength was still thin, yet his presence gave weight to her words. She continued, her voice echoing, "You fear this bond, but it is not a curse. It is proof that human and alien are not enemies by fate. We are connected. Our lives are shared. If you destroy us, you destroy that chance forever." The soldiers shifted uneasily. Some lowered their weapons. Others looked at one another in silence. For the first time, the war did not feel like victory or defeat. It felt like a choice. The council ships hovered above, voices demanding she surrender, but the people on the ground began to whisper. Their voices grew louder. "The princess lives. The princess lives." The princess turned to the human, her voice soft so only he could hear. "They will not all accept this. Some will still call me cursed. Some will hunt us." He met her gaze, his tired smile returning. "Then let them. We will face it together." Her heart tightened for once. She did not feel like a ruler abandoned by her own people. She did not feel like a girl fading on a battlefield. She felt alive, not just because of his blood, but because of the bond they now shared. Raising her hand one last time, she spoke to the galaxy. "I was fading, but a human's blood revived me. You feared it. You tried to deny it. But this is the truth. He is part of me, and I am part of him. Together, we will not fade again." The crowd roared, some with cheers, some with anger, but none could deny what they had witnessed. The final revelation had been spoken, and though the galaxy would tremble, the bond of blood and life between human and alien would remain unbroken.